what I would like to see to address this, and this isn't a criticism of him directly, is I'd like to see Martin Ødegaard come out of the team for a little while, because I think he's had a couple of performances where he's looked quite fatigued. And I think actually, to get the best of him, we need him fresh. I think Eze is not a player that influences the game off the bench, because he's kind of a moments player, right? And that can be a positive, but if you restrict the amount of time he's on the pitch, then of course you restrict the amount of moments.
He's got no rhythm. It's just like go on and produce something out of nowhere.
Some of our best performances this season have been with Eze in the team with Marino up front. And what we have with Eze is he's a guy who shoots. He takes a lot of shots, and he doesn't always score. But you get rebounds, and you get a bit of chaos in the box, and you get something happening that is a little bit of an X factor and a little bit unpredictable. And this is not me saying, Odegaard's terrible, he should be dropped. But I think we're in the kind of worst case scenario with both players at the moment, where Odegaard looks like he could use a bit of rest to be fresh, and Eze's got no rhythm, as you say. And there will be narrative about, but dropping your captain, you just have to be brave and do it. You're not dropping him, you're rotating him.
I completely agree on Odegaard, and my view on Saka is that they are dragging each other down. We rely on their effective relationship on that right-hand side, and I just think when one is not performing, the other one isn't doing the kind of counter of sort of propping them up. And I think Odegaard, when he is at his worst, is not the right way of describing it, but he takes too many touches, and you can see him trying really hard to affect the game. And I think what all that does is mean that the team drops off and they go back to double, triple marking Saka. He becomes ineffective, and it's like a vicious cycle of repeating itself. So I'm quite in favour of a bit of Odegaard on the bench, and I don't think that's a disaster.
Well, he's at his best when he's fresh and he's thinking quickly, isn't he? Odegaard is one of those players where when he's having a good game, his football brain just looks so far ahead of most players and just absolutely magical. He'll try something really kind of intricate, and if it comes off, it's exceptional. But there were times yesterday, and it was the case against Forest as well, where he's a little bit ponderous, and he's trying to think of the thing to think of, and it's slowing the game down. Or there was a case yesterday he was dispossessed as a result of it, and I think that there's nothing wrong in acknowledging that.
I do think as well, like, if you take Odegaard out of the team, there's a lot of chat about some sort of handbrake that may or may not exist.
we are never going to get away from the handbrake this season.
Someone's got the lever. I know.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a button. It's not a full kind of stick like
also,
the olden days.
We might have the handbrake on, but we conceded 3 goals.
Well,
handbrake or no handbrake.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was saying last night to you guys on the WhatsApp group. But I think,
all right,
if you take
steal my yes, I've stolen what you said, but don't out me on the. Let me steal your ideas and claim them for myself, please, Rory. Yeah. Carry on.
But I think with Odegaard, if you decide to swap him for Eze, I do think it's like an admission of you're maybe going to have less control. Because I do think the thing that Ødegaard always brings, and now this is why Arteta loves him so much, and maybe why some fans get so frustrated by him, he's always going to give you control. And I do think there is a little bit of a disconnect between what Arteta wants and what the fans want to see. And I can understand completely, Jim, from a fan perspective, and I do feel this is sometimes myself as well, like, actually, you can understand why you cry out for someone like Eze, because he gives you those moments play, he gives you that X factor, and he gives you something a little bit more to hang your hat on than Ødegaard, who can be, I said, at his best, brilliant, but it is worse, a little bit ponderous, as you said, Laura.
But my response to that would be that you've got Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi in there as well, in front of what up to last night really has been a very, very sound defence.
Yeah.
And you've also got to factor in that it's not like Eze loses the ball every 10 seconds. He's got some sort of defensive quality himself.
But I do think he takes a lot of risks, more so than anyone else, which means that at times he does seem to. Again, he's going to lose the ball more than someone like Ødegaard would. And I do think, again, as long as you've got Zubimendi in there, I am largely fine. I know he didn't have a good game yesterday. And I think my biggest stress about the 4 angry Arteta substitutions was that in losing Zubimendi and Ødegaard, you lost all control in that midfield. You had Marino, Eze, Rice, who are all sort of very abrasive players, and that's fine, but you kind of have too much of that, and then you don't have enough sort of yin to the yang. I think that's the kind of the problem there.